team, so thanks.
Good
afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the first of 5 community engagement sessions for the College of the Rockies Learning Commons and Library Design. My name is Tracy Evans, and I am the Community Engagement Coordinator at Berry Architecture Associates.
And I am Isaac Martinez, and I'm an architect at Berry Architecture and Associates.
And behind the camera, we also have Tracy Wells with us to help us out. So we would like to first acknowledge that the College of the Rockies library exists on unceded ancestral lands of the Ktunaxa and Kimbasket peoples. We are grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and grow within these traditional territories. Today, we are looking forward to getting your input to help us define the social architecture for this project. The agenda for today's presentation is that we are going to do a quick Zoom refresher, introduce today's topic, and then we'll jump right into our community input and engagement session, and we'll do some quick wrap up at the end.
We can move to the next slide, please. There you go.
All right. So before we get going with the event, we're just going to go over a few quick logistics. So given the challenges of doing the community engagement sessions remotely, we are going to keep everybody muted for the time being, and you can use the chat function or the raise your hand function if you are wanting to ask your question out loud. If you're on your desktop computer, then the icons will look similar to the image on the left-hand side of your screen. And if you're using your smartphone or your tablet, then you can tap the 3 dots and a menu will appear with the chat and raise your hand features as well, which is similar to the images on your right. We've planned for an open discussion to gather your input on today's topic, as well as there should be a few minutes at the end of the presentation to answer any additional questions you may have. Lastly, if you do have any technical difficulties during the presentation today, we are going to be recording this session, and you will be able to get that on our project website in the next 24 hours.
Okay, well, let's get started now. So our goal for each of the community engagement sessions is to answer the big question: how does the library move forward into a one-stop shop learning commons that will merge the key student success and support services within a 21st century learning community? The answers to this question will drive our design to develop the program requirements and the schematic design for this project. Our goal for the community engagement sessions are to start a conversation with the College of the Rocky community about how the existing library is or is not meeting your needs and how you would like it to see it evolve. During today's sessions, we will talk about the project background, the existing conditions of the library, and also we'll describe our design philosophy, and then we'll dive right into our main discussion and get your input. So for project background, we know that the College of the Rockies is undertaking a review process to engage with their stakeholders, the users, to determine how to move the library forward into one-stop shop learning commons. That will merge, something that will merge student success and support resources and services within the 21st century learning community. The ultimate goal of this initiative is to enhance the student's experience through the creation of learning commons, consistent of engaging and supportive spaces, services, and supports that will facilitate progressive learning, teaching, and the campus connection and experiences for all students, the faculty, the staff, and the larger regional community. We want to hear from you. All of the input gathered will drive our design decisions and help us establish the specific program requirements and develop the schematic design for a library expansion or renovation, and to ensure that the new space is what the community needs.
So for those of you who have maybe been to the campus already or work at the campus, You may already know where the existing library is located, but for anybody who may not know, the existing library is currently located on the lower level in the northwest corner of the Kootenai Center building on the Cranbrook campus. And to access the library from the entrance hall, you do need to go down the central atrium to the lower level. So just a little bit of background there. Next, we're going to just quickly go through a few images of the existing library conditions to get ourselves familiar with the existing space. So the library has a traditional layout, which consists of 2 floors of book stacks. There are 4 study rooms that are available for the students to use. And there's also administration space that's provided in the library for the staff and faculty. Continuing on, we also know that there are writing labs and audiovisual support that's available for students to use. There are 4 quiet group workrooms that are dispersed throughout the library. And there is some barrier-free accessibility with an existing elevator lift. At this time, we do also want to kind of leave the floor open for Brenda from the College of the Rockies, if there's any additional information on the existing conditions that she would like to add.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. I appreciate this. So as you can see, and for those of you who have been in the library, and that's many of you, we have a very sort of traditional old school library. It's small. It doesn't have a lot of flexibility in terms of its layout. We only have 4 study or work rooms available to our students, and a large circulation desk, and circulation/service desk, I should say. We are adjacent to the audiovisual support and editing room, though those are not technically available to students directly to use. Those are used primarily by staff. And I'm sure there are a couple stations normally adjacent to the audiovisual editing area that students can use to do more graphical work and things like that. But there are just a couple. Additionally, we have 1 small computer lab within the library space that normally seats about 12 or 13. And 10 to 12, I can't remember the count, sorry, of computers that are just on our open floor within the library. So we do have some computing resources right within the library, as well as the library is adjacent to the large computing lab in room L131. So again, we are looking here, I'm looking to hear from you folks about what you see, what works well, what doesn't. And this is step 1 in our project to build a more experiential space and set of services and resources for our students, our faculty, our staff, and our community. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I appreciate you giving in that input for us and helping everybody understand the existing space. All right.
So this graphic, the graphic that we see on our screens now, is a good representation of 3 elements that we always consider when designing new spaces. So the physical architecture for our purpose here is the design of the built environment. That include all the interior spaces, the buildings of all scales, and also the landscape architecture. The social architecture is the conscious design of services and amenities to support interactions across the generations, cultures, and socioeconomic groups. And the economic and policy are the regulations and financial structures affecting a facility or business. So throughout these community engagement sessions, we really want to focus first into the social architecture, as it will provide us the backbone to the physical architecture. When we connect the social and the physical architecture together, we become more design conscious and create more meaningful facilities and spaces that will really serve the end users. So that's why it's really important for us to really understand the social architecture, understand the background of each project, and that's what we look at these three components. So to compile all the information required to create the architectural concepts and project requirements, we will work together to look at the different levels of social architecture as we just were talking about. And we will start today with existing conditions, and then we work our way through the different design principles and also some furniture solutions for this project. For each session, we will use the question, how does the library can move forward into one-stop shop or learning commons that will merge key student success and supportive services within a 21st century learning community. Additionally, we'd like to take in consideration how we can foster the strong relationships between all the users, right? Between students, community, faculty and staff, and as well students with other students.
All right, so we are going to jump into our actual community input portion now with the questions. So reminder that you can use the chat function or raise your hand function if you'd like to speak out loud. But point is, we would really love to hear from you. And if you do want to use the chat function, we do have Tracy Wells here who's going to be reading off your comments for us as well, so we can have some really great conversation. So our first question is, who is using the library today? So what user groups are using this space? What programs or partnerships are contributing and using this space? Who's getting the most out of the space? Who is using it? So we'll give about 5 minutes for some conversation here. So we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, please start sending your comments. Any questions, raise your hand, and yeah, we'll love to get your input.
From Sheldon, we have students as an answer.
Great. We would love to see all the students using these spaces. That's what it's intended for. We want you to take that initiative and use the space for your schooling.
Again, from Sheldon, instructors booking laptops. From John, the public, accessibility students, faculty. From Suzanne, hi everyone, the library is currently being mostly used by students. We do have faculty and staff who also use this space at times. From Daryl, in a normal year, library research workshops.
Great. It's awesome to hear that there's so many different groups that are using this space and that there's so many different reasons for people to come into this space as well.
Again, from John, from people needing to use computers, and from Sheldon, health programs get lots of library support education.
Great.
Great. Yeah, we can see that there's a lot of different groups, right? And services provided in this library.
Sheldon mentions not a lot of public that I see.
Okay.
From Suzanne, some community patrons. And again from Suzanne, and student parents with children on occasion. And Suzanne says alumni as well.
So we know that the space typically is most useful for the students. The fact that we maybe see some involvement from the community, some community members want to be in there. Is this a space that we want to make more accessible to the public or more inviting to the public?
While you're thinking on that, a couple more comments. Sheldon says from lonely students. Anna, I believe, says international students. John says, I believe high school groups do workshops there. And Sheldon says those seeking quiet refuge. And from Robin, I'm curious which students, in brackets, which program type are highest users. And from Daryl, the college community is the primary group. Secondary uses from other groups, perhaps.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So those are great feedback so far, guys, in terms of who's using the space at this moment.
I have a few more from Susan. I think having a space for parents with young students would be good. The young students tend to disrupt things for other students. Suzanne says international students, nursing and teaching students mostly. Anita says Fernie campus students would use the Fernie Heritage Library, and if they can't find what they need, they would have a book shipped to the Fernie campus. From Sheldon, yes, to more public. I wish we had space for children, as I know students with children would come with kids if they could be occupied like TRU library. Susan says the college daycare also bring in groups of students sometimes. Brenda says there's a lot of students accessing the large computer lab during regular hours. And Susan says, actually that should be daycare kids. And from Daryl, I see the Cranbrook Library, public library being a better location for family users.
Right, lots of great conversation there. These are the types of things that we want to hear. So there's lots of different areas that we can push the design and make it a usable space, definitely primarily for those students because we want to make this their campus library. But great to hear that we do have other groups that we want to consider as well. So, yeah. Oh, maybe another one?
Couple more. So from Sheldon, lots of students meeting and greeting just outside or inside. From Jonathan, we're on the edge of town, so community is hard.
Okay, yeah.
Great
points. Well, thank you for your comments on this first question. Yeah, this really good input. Any other comment on this question before we go to the next one?
Sheldon says those needing to sleep.
Yeah, so definitely library needs to be quiet. We need to ensure that there's a balance, right? I guess for all the different type of users, mostly students, but yeah, there should be a nice balance of what the spaces and what they can provide. Okay, well, thank you. So we'll move to the next question. The next question is, what services are being provided in the library right now? If you can let us know what are the existing services that are being currently provided for students, for public, for anybody in the faculty at the library at this moment. What are those that you're seeing right now working well?
From Suzanne, definitely need a good balance for all users. Borrowing of physical resources, audio-visual equipment, laptops, reference desk, copyright. Thanks, Suzanne. That was from ANAA. I hope I'm saying it right when I just say Anna. And from Jonathan, the Edit Lab is available for students. From
okay,
Courtney,
the Edit Lab.
Yep. From Courtney, research help, library workshops. From Sheldon, lots of service, so condensed at one desk can be very busy at time. From Suzanne, study rooms.
So I guess, yeah, libraries provide a lot of services, right? And you just want to know what are the important services that maybe are there right now that is important to keep them in the library, right?
Yep, so I have a few more here. Susan says, College of the Rocky online Moodle support. Suzanne says interlibrary loans. From John, equipment loans for students and faculty. Kay Smith says student ID cards. From Jonathan, AV loans for faculty and students. From John, writing lab. From Susan, IT student help desk. Sheldon says great staff, exclamation. And from Jonathan, College of the Rocky online support. From John, photocopying for students.
Awesome.
And Suzanne says, thank you, Sheldon. We think so too.
Anybody would like to kind of speak up as well or say any comments?
They just like to hear my voice, I think. I've got a few more. Sorry. Sheldon, support for new instructors and how to use the library. From Kay Smith, laminating. And from Susan, printing.
So as you can see, there's a lot of services right now being provided in the library, right? So it's important to have adequate areas for everybody to use the services. So there's, there's enough support spaces for the services to be provided. So it's clear also where the services are provided. So it's great.
A couple more, Isaac, from Susan. Printing and support for instructors working online. From Sheldon, health program ID cards. From Anna, writing tutor.
Okay. Writing tutor. Okay, that's great. Any other services right now being provided in the existing library at the college?
From Sheldon, computer access. From Susan, also child, youth, and family studies ID cards. From Jonathan, research assistants, or was that mentioned? It's okay, we can double up. And Daryl, we also have books.
Definitely, yeah, that was still missing, right? Definitely,
Yes.
there's quite a bit of, there's still quite a bit of a resource library for books and computers in the existing library, and study areas, right? There's some study areas as well.
From Sheldon, librarians come to program courses to speak to students. From Susan, after hours computer access. From Brenda, physical and electronic books, as well as digital resources and research databases. Graham says, Daryl, just wait for the movies to come out and you don't need those books, with a winky face. And Susan, self-checkout of library resources.
So the library is open pretty much after hours all time, or what are the specific hours for the library to be right now providing services?
Sheldon says, great library, online research from anywhere.
If I may, the library in a normal year is open, correct me, Sue, if I get this wrong, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
Fridays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 10 to 4, and Sunday, noon to 4. Those are our current normal hours, or what was normal before COVID.
Okay.
Suzanne says, right on, Brenda.
All right. You'd think I'd know these by now, but I always doubt my recitation.
Great. No, so those are really a lot of services that we can see right now. A lot of for students to get in their IDs, for study groups, for even laminating, all those different services are being provided right now. So definitely, there's quite a bit need to ensure that those services are being provided correctly without interference and the most efficient way as well, right? So that's really good.
Sheldon says it's also a place to skip classes.
Okay. Right on. So no, that's great. So I guess let's move to the next question, because the next question will be, now we know what's being provided, and then we move to the next question.
Yeah, so now that we do know what's being provided there at the existing library, can anybody think of any other services that you would like to see incorporated into the new Learning Commons? There is a lot of services that are already being offered, but maybe there's something that you feel is missing. Maybe there's something that is new and hasn't been incorporated into the library yet, and this would be a great opportunity to incorporate it into the new Learning Commons design. So love to hear any new comments that would like to come in for this.
All right, they're coming in. From John, tutoring space. From Suzanne, like to see tutoring services, peer tutoring, math, etc. From Jonathan, 3D printing maker space.
Oh, great, that's a great idea.
Yeah. From Anna, integrated all tutorial support into the Learning Commons. From Susan, unified student help desk that includes College of the Rocky online, IT services, registration, references, etc. From
Great.
Sheldon, childcare or child resources, child books, perhaps story time. From John, technology support / assistance with software programs. From Sheldon, quiet spaces for staff to work, particularly if in a shared office. From Norma, digital lab for editing video. That's a great thought.
Great, yeah. So definitely, we're hearing some more. We want some more tutoring space, which is great, especially with everything having been online in the past year. Some students may feel like they're missing a few things here and there, so that peer tutoring or extra support in that way is really beneficial for them. Some technological stuff that we want to get incorporated. Love the idea of the maker space. It's a great place to get some creativity.
I think jokingly, Ms. Smith or Mr. Smith says puppies. Suzanne says, we'll leave story time to the public library, in my opinion, unless it's our education and students who'd like to bring their students in for story time, etc. From John, he suggests a coffee bar. Daryl, quiet spaces where students can read. Sheldon, more light, more air, more space, needs to be brighter and better flow through quieter entrance door.
I like that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the more light, the more space needs to be bright. That's great. And I don't know. I guess the idea of the coffee bar, I think it's also good, right? You could have a nice, maybe in a corner, a coffee bar there for users.
And the quieter entrance door, double to block the noise outside.
Right.
Brenda suggests, I think therapy dogs at times would be fabulous. And Suzanne says outdoor space. Suzanne suggests collaborative and or private space for faculty.
Okay.
Brenda suggests a cafe as well. Robin says therapy dogs on campus is a great idea, just not in the learning commons. Katie says that agrees that the library should have social and quiet spaces. Robin suggests quiet study and collaborative spaces. And Daryl says, I would like taller ceilings. Current space feels closed in.
That's important. We need to create a nice space that is welcoming and that allows for more types of different activities. Great.
A couple more comments here from Suzanne. Therapy dogs during exams could be beneficial for students. Sheldon, performance space, a stage for events like poetry slams or talks, book clubs.
That could be a really great option, especially for like an after hours or pre-closing event too. Like, you want these spaces to be quiet for the studying aspect, but sometimes it's great to have an event to draw everybody in. So that's definitely an idea to consider for sure.
John says areas for noisier student groups and student lounge. From Saba,
Yes.
explore touchless library experiences.
Interesting. Yeah.
Really cool.
Susan says flexible use spaces. Saba says virtual learning opportunities. From Brenda, more flexible instructional space, presentation / event space.
Great. Now I noticed through going through existing photos of the library, it seems like there's a corner or like a back little area that has some really great windows that let in some really nice light, but it's only really seen in that one small little area. So we've already heard that we want to brighten the area, get more light, get taller ceilings. Are there any things that we want, like other ways to bring in more of that playful light, or how do we want the light brought into the building?
I think it's important to bring light into the space, right? And
Yeah.
I think we can create connections to the outdoors on different focal points. That would be a good way to see it, to try to see what features and to ensure we have a visual connection to the outdoors. Somebody say outdoor area, right? So maybe there's a way to also connect the new learning commons with some outdoor space and have some connections like that. So those are great ideas. I see there's some other comments coming up.
Yeah. From Brenda, more flexible instructional space, presentation/event space. Did I say that already? I'm sorry if I duplicated it. Sheldon, perhaps student volunteers. Susan, digital displays that can be varied for information or presentations. From Daryl, I saw peer tutoring bullpen at another institution that had about 10 stations for drop-ins to get help.
Great. So those are, yeah, all great features and additional services that could be incorporated in the new Learning Commons. I think that there's, with flexibility, as people have mentioned already here, with some more different type of heights for the spaces, we can create this more flexibility and be able to provide all these different services as well. So that's great. And then, so moving to the next question for now.
Okay, sorry. I'm just reading other comments there.
Sure, yeah, there's a few more coming up. Yeah, please go ahead, Tracy.
Sorry, Susan, daylight ceilings where natural light doesn't reach. Sheldon, display windows for things like books, themes, new exhibits, banned books, focus on authors. From Courtney, brighter, more appealing colors on the walls. From Katie, connect the library with new outdoor classroom that's coming.
Right.
Jonathan, I hear a lot about video editing, but we don't have any film programs. Sheldon, outdoor space for great weather attached like a patio, also great for events. Susan, video is increasingly being used by faculty to present information and by students for assignments. And Sheldon says art on the walls. Now
excellent, that's a great idea, the arts on the wall. I think that's a good way even to connect her to the cultural background, to anything like, you know, that could create some identity to the space. So I think, yeah, that's a great idea, bringing some art to the space.
And Norma just mentions we do have a lot of need for digital editing for our health simulations.
Great.
Great, thank you. So the next question is like, in the existing space, what is currently working well within the existing library space? Is there any specific current features or areas that you see that you like, that maybe they can consider moving into the new learning space? Or what are the spaces that you think are working well right now? Is there anything that you guys think? As you can see in the picture there, Tracy was mentioning that area, that picture that shows that connection with some study desks and the big windows. So that seems to be a nice space. So what else you can think that is currently working within the existing space?
Sheldon says central access to staff. It's right at the front. Suzanne says the large computer lab works well.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
She also says having a AV support nearby also works well. And Sheldon says amazing staff. Have to say it again.
Definitely, that's really important as we're providing those services for everybody.
Suzanne says also IT help nearby, and thanks Sheldon. From Jonathan, as more students move to the ubiquitous, are you trying to test me on my words here? A device, the computer labs may become less relevant.
That's right.
Ask Daryl. Will do.
So, and as Brenda was mentioning, we understand that the existing library is pretty traditional in terms of the layout. It's a traditional library, so areas are a little more fixed, you know, just as the books shelves are pretty fixed. Some of the pretty areas are pretty defined. There's not a lot of flexibility, right? So that's kind of what we see, that those are some of the things that not allowing to provide more flexible spaces, different services, and that's one of the things that right now that are not more obviously not working that well, right? For looking into the future and the needs of a learning commons.
From Anna, not for instructors, we still like to have a computer lab in the library for workshops and research. From Susan, charging stations / built-into study spaces. Daryl, we have a vision of this future student always having access to his or her own laptop or tablet meeting, a college spec, and connecting to all services at the college. And Sheldon says, but as we have a growing student residence on campus, I know students go to library to get away from noisy roommate floor parties. This will grow as we grow. This will need to grow as we grow, sorry.
Great.
So I guess if we move to the next question, there's a few things we can see that there's a few things that currently they're not working that well in terms of the layout. Moving to the next question.
Just 2 more comments and then I'll let it go. So I've seen small retail spaces to sell hoodies, t-shirts, etc. at other institutions. And Nathan says
Yep.
books. I like books, and Sheldon agrees, and so does Anna. Off we go to the next question.
So we know what is working in the library, and we know how the existing library is laid out. So with that in mind, what is not working right now or needs to be improved in the design of the new Learning Commons? Sounds like there might be a few things here and there maybe, and if not, that's awesome too. We can roll with it. We can work things out.
Definitely accessibility needs much improvement. It's noisy, foosball and students talking out front. Susan says noise, Suzanne says quiet spaces, Sheldon congested, tight layout, Suzanne cramped staff space, Sheldon says it's dingy and dark, Anna, College of the Rocky online support staff office is cramped, Robin says the offices are not ideal. From Graham, I think noise adds vibrancy to a building, but I may be in the minority. Music college background, ha ha ha. From Suzanne, the space needs vibrant paint and better lighting. From Susan, flow is poor for users moving around.
I guess the accessibility comment is really important. Once I was touring the library, I can see there's just one kind of lift to go to the lower level. It's not that it's a little difficult to go down there. So yeah, I think improving the barrier-free accessibility for the Learning Commons is a must.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody comments the entrance is hidden from the main foyer. The circulation service desk, much too large, too much dead space. From Sheldon, too many services in one area, very noisy and busy with students crossing back and forth to computer lab, to printer, to AV, to library. From Suzanne, lift doesn't work for people with mobility issues. From Norma, more space for the stacks and access to other types of resource material. Sheldon, no separate area for staff. From Anna, I agree that the social aspect in front of the library is noisy, but the students use this to work together.
And I think the area for the staff is good. It's a good comment. There's a lot of, as you say, great staff as we've been hearing in the library already. So it's important for them to have a good space, some staff room for them, right? So I think that's a good point.
Brenda says no ability to zone for different uses, quiet activity, etc. Sheldon suggests poor staff, poor area for them, crammed and dated. I think that meant, I read that wrong, poor staff. Anyways, from Suzanne, Nita's curriculum lab for the UVic teaching program. Sheldon says only one entrance and it is the exit. From Suzanne, extended hours, more service, access to outdoors.
Yeah, nice access to outdoors. It would be nice for sure. The entrance and the exit and where the location of the main desk to ensure that not all the services are into one location. And again, just as we said, right, just existing the current layout of the library is pretty traditional, pretty fixed. So that's why it doesn't allow to as we say, right, to have that flexibility of spaces and to have more of that connection through with all the users.
And definitely that. Obviously, we do want quiet spaces in the library, but we do need to have that balance between that collaboration for students and staff and the community, everybody. So there's definitely, we need to be able to have a good balance between spaces that may be a little bit louder versus that quiet space where everybody can study, so.
Jonathan asks, are there any tradespeople here today? And well, you all are thinking about that. I'll move on to the next comment. Sheldon says, needs to grow as we grow. Needs capacity for future design and growth as we're maxed out now.
That's a great comment. Needs to grow as the community grow, as the college grow, and needs you know, to have enough capacity for the future, and that's important. So great.
A couple more comments. Suzanne, open more windows to all users. And from Sheldon, we need secret spots, hidden spots, nooks to study or calm down. I love that in big university libraries.
Yeah.
Jonathan, trades are a big part of our student body and they should not be forgotten.
Definitely. We want to remember everybody in this process. There's so many different user groups that are coming together in this one space, so we don't want to forget anybody at all. So definitely thank you for pointing that out.
Brenda says, absolutely, Jonathan. She agrees.
Excellent.
Suzanne says, trade students do use library. Groups of them gather in the library. Susan says, faculty often look for places to work uninterrupted by students. Students can always find them in their offices.
Certainly. Certainly that flexibility for public-private spaces, that's something that is needed. Okay, no, those are great comments. And I guess taking that comment from that we got regarding the library needs to grow with, you know, as the community grow, as the colleges grow, then we can move to the next question.
Sure. I have two more comments and I'll let you do so. From Sheldon, we need more signage of how to find the library. We need posters. And from Mr. or Miss Beck, from friends who are students, a need for extended hours for studying, especially during examination times.
Excellent. Yeah, signage, posters, wayfinding. Where is, you know, exactly how can I get to the space?
And Susan says, library more visible to the rest of the college. And Courtney suggests we need to have one name for the library versus LRC. Sheldon says, hand washing stations, COVID, and Saba during a pandemic, thinking together while separated, adaptable design solutions, and collective experience of isolation and disconnection. And Sheldon says, is there a bathroom down there?
So I guess moving to the next question, we heard some great comments right now, I think, and what's leading to this question now, right? Some of the last thoughts that we heard pretty much led us to the next question, that is the current location of the library is ideal? Would another location be better? And that's kind of going back to kind of what we heard right now, talking about the growth, talking about the location, the signage, where it's located, how can I see it? What do you guys think about the location of the library? Is that ideal, or there's maybe another space that would work better for this space?
Suzanne says, I like where the library is located as it is central.
Okay.
Okay.
Sheldon, main floor, or dare I say it, in a new building, say a health, wellness, and library, smiley face. Norma says, move it to a place where community members can access it more easily.
Okay.
From Susan, location isn't bad and there is space to expand it towards the back as the college grows.
Yeah, it's important to think about expansion, right? And as we think in the different spaces that we need, how it grows, right? So the expansion is for sure important to consider.
Sheldon says also better accessibility for all individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really needed for sure.
And it says, I agree with Suzanne, but having one door for entrance and exit creates congestion. And Suzanne says, thank you, Sheldon. It's very, very needed. We can't have barriers. Do we need to think of it as one space? Some campuses have added alcoves throughout their spaces.
That's a good thought too, right? It necessarily has to be in one space. Maybe it's broken up in different spaces within the campus. So, yeah.
Sheldon says, where can you expand there? Is there room? That will have to be explored.
That's what we will need to explore that once we define the requirements, if actually the existing locations had enough space for expansion based on what is needed.
Robin says, if it's staying where it is, it might help to have outdoor access. Susan says, at one point in time, there was some talk about expanding the library towards the west. From Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the original entrance in the 80s was off the main foyer.
Okay. So yeah, as we hear some of these comments about the existing location, what it needs to be, thinking about the growth, expansion, connection with outdoors, I think it's important also to kind of be able to easily find it. I think the Learning Commons are an important hub for the whole community, so the college community for sure. So be able to know where it is and drive you to it is important, and ensure that it has a nice flow as you get in and you go through the different services.
As well, Sheldon says community does not see it where it is.
Yeah, and something to consider for sure, right? I think the community is part as well, and maybe there's ways to bring it somewhere where it's easier or more accessible for also the community as well.
Susan says the old daycare play area would make a very comfortable outdoor space, particularly in the summer because it's shaded.
Yeah, yeah, there's a few trees on that side for sure.
Sheldon says yes with a smiley face.
Yeah, good location. Well, no, those are really great, great thoughts, great input so far. Any other comments before we move to the next slide?
Sheldon asks, or can we have a rooftop patio?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think there's a potential, right, to maybe create an outdoor higher space that provide that also an opportunity for indoor kind of learning or spaces for study, right? So that's great.
Brenda agrees. She says that works for me.
Great ideas.
Great.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, so is there anything more before we move on?
Sheldon says social space for noisier vibrancy. Daryl, outdoor works in summer, but we have a long winter. Jonathan says when it's minus 25 or plus 35 above, you guys can have it. And Sheldon says plants to freshen the air. Awesome. Perhaps is an idea on the inside.
That's a good thought too. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for all of that great input. We will be compiling all of the comments from everybody today, and we will be doing a little bit of a summary at the end of all of these engagements. But for the time being, thank you for all of your input. Before we end off the evening, we do want to just quickly start the discussion on the following 5 design principles that we want you to start considering and thinking about when you think about what is important to you as we discuss the Learning Commons. So we're going to start with reorganize and rebalance. So we want to be able to reorganize and rebalance the space so that it is structured around a central gathering area to help focus the spatial configuration on the people rather than the collections or the books. This is going to allow the library to reinforce a sense of community with engaging gathering spaces that promote interaction. Next, we want to talk about reconfigure. Reconfiguring the space allows the library to embrace change and continue to find innovative ways to deliver services that support the shifting needs of the community. We want to remove barriers in the space between people, knowledge, and resources. This is going to allow the library to support inclusive spaces that accommodate learning opportunities for people of all backgrounds. Reveal. We want to reveal the space to the community so that it allows the library to become an equitable environment that promotes access to resources for growth, learning, and that also recognizes the historic and ongoing connections to the Tunaha and Kumbasket people. And finally, retain. We want to retain the historical character of the existing library space and the surrounding buildings so that we preserve a story of the city, the neighborhoods, and the school across generations. We also want to acknowledge the relationship that the college and the Tunaha people have, upon whose unceded ancestral lands we learn and thrive on. So we'll be further defining each of these principles over the next few weeks to really understand what's most important to the College of the Rockies community in regards to the new Learning Commons design. So start thinking about all those different aspects, and we'll go deeper into those in the next couple of weeks.
Sheldon, just maybe one more comment here. We need our Aboriginal First Nation partner students to be involved in the process.
Definitely.
And Brenda says absolutely should.
For sure. We'd love to have them involved. It's important to keep them involved in all of this process.
Definitely.
Great. So that's kind of wrapping everything up for the most part for today's session. So reminder that all of the comments are recorded and we will have a record of them. So everything that you have given to us tonight, we will take into consideration when it comes to the new design. We will also be throwing all of this information into a summary session at the end of all of these engagements. But keep in mind that we are going to be doing our next session next Thursday, January 21st at 4 p.m. again, live on Zoom here. And if you had any technical difficulties or you want to reference back to anything, please head to the project website on our Barry Architecture page. Everything will be uploaded there tomorrow morning, as well as tomorrow morning there will be a questionnaire available online for everybody to fill out. That will be made available tonight at midnight, and it will be open till Wednesday of next week at noon. So please, if you have any additional comments that you want to throw our way, or you want to elaborate on anything that you've already sent across, please fill out that form and we will get that next week as well.
Sheldon says, great start. Let us know when we can come with our demolition hammers.
Well, I would like to thank everybody for spending some time with us this afternoon. This was a great kickoff to this project. I very much appreciate your input and your honesty, and we look forward, and as Tracy mentioned, feel free to go to the project site, and I'll post that up on the portal, and make sure that if you've got any other thoughts, leave them with us, because we want to gather as much information as we can so that the next steps are the best steps we can make for the college and for the library and for the students and for you. So appreciate your attendance. Thanks so much. Isaac?
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, have a great night. And yeah, hopefully we see you guys next Thursday.
All the best.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.